Conclusion. This video is the last video of this series. If you have watched my 10 previous videos, it's obvious that I'm very enthusiastic about China. I mean, for sure, what happened in this country the last 40 years is really impressive. So yes, I'm enthusiastic. But at the same time, I'm not naive. And the reason why I wanted this last video is just to stress that this model in China might be sometimes very difficult to sustain. And they have major gaps, major difficulties, major fragilities, and I have to say a few words about this. I mean, those difficulties, those challenges, they lie in at least three different areas. One is the economy. Another one is societal issues. And finally, the last category regards to political issues. Let me say a few words about the economic issues. I mean, as you know, the growth rate is declining, the labor cost is increasing, China is suffering, will suffer from this one-child policy. China is also suffering from relying too much on exports. So you see the picture from an economic point of view is fragile. Now let's say a few words about societal issues. I mean, as you know, the major challenge is pollution. I mean, China has been polluting the country for the last 40 years. I mean, there will be a cost, there will be a challenge to deal with this. I mean, pollution is a difficulty. Corruption is another difficulty. From a societal point of view, I mean, that's not always very easy. Another issue regarding the societal domain is the different gaps that we have. We have tremendous gaps in China. I mean, the first one is related to wealth, resources. You have a tremendous gap between poor people and with rich people. You have a very sharp discrepancy, much stronger than what we have in Europe, much stronger than what they have in the US. So in a communist country, the wealth gap is really huge. You have a similar gap between what is happening in the city and what is happening on the countryside. So you see, in this second category, societal issues, I mean, again, the picture is not always very nice. And the last difficulty I would like to talk about is the political issue. I mean, as you know, the Chinese Communist Party is the only one in the country. That's a major advantage, but at the same time, it could be in the future a tremendous difficulty to continue to foster the economy. That's one problem. Another problem is that you know that inside the country you have some parts which are a little bit difficult to manage. I mean, everyone knows about Tibet, everyone knows about Xinjiang, and everyone knows about Inner Mongolia. So in those provinces, I mean, China might have some difficulties, had already some difficulties, and might have some other difficulties in the future. And then you have Hong Kong. I mean, Hong Kong is now back to China. That's probably a good news. But at the same time, for those people in Hong Kong, it's a challenge. It's a challenge to keep the level of freedom that they have. And you know also the case of Taiwan. So Taiwan is not so far from the coast, but Taiwan today considers itself to be separated from China. But in China, this is not the view. I mean, for Chinese people in mainland, I mean, they consider that Taiwan is part of China. So here, again, that's a challenge. that China will have to deal with in the future. And as you know, I mean, with neighbors, with Japan, I mean, they have difficulties in finding their way. I mean, we had in 2012 this issue about those small islands, Diaoyu, Senkaku in Japanese. I mean, those islands, I mean, it's nothing, but it's, again, an opportunity to fight each other. Difficulties with Japan, difficulties with Vietnam, and if we go far away from that, I mean, some challenges also in Africa. So you see the picture, again, very enthusiastic about what happened in China over the last 40 years, but at the same time, again, don't be naive. I mean, we have a lot of challenges in China, and they will have to deal with this. Now, to conclude on a more positive note, okay, how should we look at those challenges? I think that those challenges are, in fact, very frequently also an opportunity for us. I will take only one example. The case of pollution. Okay, China is polluted. I mean, the air is polluted, the water is polluted, vegetables are polluted, and so on and so on. What does it mean for us? I mean, let's imagine here a company with a green technology, a startup with a green technology. I mean, this is exactly the type of thing the Chinese government is prepared to pay a lot of money to gain access to. So you see, pollution is also an opportunity for every company which is operating in this green technology area. That's my conclusion.